Hello, everyone. We're just waiting for a couple of minutes, I think, for some people to join. Okay, I think we'll make a start. Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Melissa and I'm the Early Careers Recruitment Manager here at BDO. I'm new to BDO and I joined back in June. Previously, I worked for an engineering consultancy and was their Early Careers Recruitment Manager for 16 years. So I'm still very much learning about the accountancy sector. So thank you so much for joining. It's lovely to have you on the call today. I'll pass you over to Stephanie to do some introductions.
Hi, I'm Steph, and I am a junior tax associate working at the BDO Guildford office at the moment. Over to you, Millie.
Hi, I'm Millie, and I'm a audit trainee at the Gatwick office. So yeah, I'll pass you over to Jessie.
Hi, I'm Jessie. I joined in 2018 and I am now a business advisor from Suffolk.
So thank you. So we've got some slides to present you today. Millie, Stephanie and Jessie are going to share their career journeys so far. And at the end of the session, we've got a Q&A. However, we've got the chat button at the bottom of the screen. So please share any questions that you might have through the chat button. Anything burning, we'll answer as we go along. Otherwise, we'll save it till the end. Okay. So BDO is a big firm. You can see on the slide there the figures. We're an international network with over offices in over 167 countries. This is great because it means we're able to access advice for our clients in pretty much anywhere in the world that they might need it. We've got 18 offices across the UK, and they're from as high up as Edinburgh and as low down as Southampton. With 7,000 staff across all of these offices, our largest is London, and that's where I'm based. There's a statistic on the slide there that I think is really impressive. It's around the fact that 95% of our clients would recommend us. So that's something to really shout about and to show that what we're doing is good. I think it's really key to talk about the three streams. Our firm is split up into three different streams. Now, the girls who are going to do their slides later are from advisory, audit and tax. So you'll get a nice overview from each stream. So tax is our smallest stream, and I think it's really helpful for me to explain what each stream does. So tax is the smallest stream with just 1,000 members of staff. We work for clients on tax-related matters and offer advice and guidance on all tax-related work. You can see on the screen that we've got some additional sort of words. That's essentially the sub-streams that work within the tax. Our strategic tax planning expertise includes corporate tax, structuring of acquisitions, taxes on human capital, VAT and capital gains, to name a few. We also provide specialist tax advice to private clients, giving them a detailed understanding so they are able to make effective financial decisions. Advisory just has over 1,600 staff, and within this stream, we help clients with innovative solutions to a wide range of financial and business challenges. BDO is one of the world's largest accountancy networks, and the advisory stream provide corporate finance and transaction services, business restructuring, forensic advisory, risk and management consultancy services to clients navigating a range of challenges and changes. Audit is our biggest stream, and we have just over 2,200 staff. Our auditors have the business understanding necessary to deliver the high quality and robust audit that our clients trust. We provide a full range of audit services to a range of different clients, and we also have partners in each stream. So that makes the total headcount of up to 7,000 in the UK. I think this is really interesting just to talk about some of our clients. So it's a real range. What they all have in common is they're all ambitious. They're ambitious to grow. And our clients really range from different sectors, including retail, real estate, banking, finance. And the services we offer in all our streams are very much based on the client needs. But there's lots of names up there that you're going to be familiar with, if not all of them, to be honest. BDO, these are our values, and this is essentially how we behave as individuals within the organisation. Being responsible is about acting with integrity and taking responsibility for our actions and learning from our mistakes. Being genuine is about being true to who we are, about being honest about what we think, feel, and believe. And being collaborative, the power of working together to give the best solution to our clients. And finally, being bold. And that's about being ambitious, innovative, and being curious and making change happen. We're committed to high quality, independence, and ethics throughout all of our BDO values. I thought this slide was really on topic of today's world around about the flexible and agile working. I get asked a lot about this with candidates applying and going through the application process, and at point of offer, they want to know what our approach to flexible working is. Workable is there to help you to find a work-life balance that's healthy, sustainable, and supportive. It starts with looking at the work we do, and it offers us flexibility on how, when, and where we do it. So we're able to offer what's best for the clients, the team you work in, and for you personally as well. It's more than just about flexibility. Working at client sites, a BDO hub, and at home ensures your life at BDO is varied, satisfying, and connected. People are really encouraged to be themselves and supported in delivering high quality work. Work isn't focused on how many days you come into the office. It's more about making sure your team is connected and communicating effectively to make sure that you're in the right place at the right time to deliver the best outcome. So we don't have a set number of days that you would need to be in your local hub. Just wanted to touch on the programs that we offer. We've got two programs. One is the graduate program, and that is available for graduates who have studied their degree and want to go on to a professional qualification. And that is a program that lasts for 3 years, and you'd work towards the professional qualification throughout that 3 years. The second program is our apprenticeship program, and that's for students who don't have degrees, but you have A-levels. And that too is working towards a professional qualification while you're on the program of 4 years. That's slightly longer. For both programs, you do need to have A-levels for an entry requirement at grades A to C that you can see on the screen there. Then we have our insight programs and work experience. I won't touch too much on those. They're essentially kind of either virtual or just week-long programs. But we do, of course, have an industrial placement and summer internship over the summer. Our summer is a 6 weeks program, which is based in all of our UK offices, and the industrial placement is the same UK offices, and that's obviously for a year starting in September. I think this is really important just to talk about the trainee support that we offer our trainees. We have a dedicated, it's a professional qualifications team, but we call them the PQ team for short. They are there to support you every step of the way. So they will support you with your journey in obtaining your professional qualification, but you'll also have the tuition provider. So our main provider is BPP, and the provider is there to support you to make sure that you're supported and that you pass each stage of your qualification successfully. Now, the application process is pretty straightforward. We've moved to a virtual model, which I believe that we're going to be staying with because it's been really successful over the last couple of years. So it's your application form, which is an online form that you need to complete. I'm really pleased to say that we've condensed this down. So it's very, very short, take around about 15 minutes. It's about 7 questions. And once you've successfully submitted your application form, you'll be sent a link to our assessment and video interview. And that section takes you about 45 minutes. And on successful completion of those 2 stages, you would be invited to an assessment centre. Now, as I mentioned, our assessment centre is virtual and it's a morning or afternoon session. There are 12 people in an assessment centre, so you get to have a session of networking, but you also get that personal touch where you're able to meet some partners and understand a little bit about what the stream is that you're applying to and what a day in the life looks like. Successful completion of the assessment centre would mean the outcome would be an offer, and the offer would be to start on the programme the following cycle. So pretty straightforward process. I can hear the chat button clicking away. Is there questions about the application process?
We did have a great question about which particular qualification we can expect to gain when from the training provider.
That's a good question. So you guys will probably talk about the qualifications that you're going to be working on, but we do have quite a long list of qualifications. One thing that I think is really good to mention is each role will have a qualification attached to it. So we dictate which qualification you would be working towards. It's not something that you choose, but we go through those qualifications at the assessment centre. So you're fully aware of what role you're applying to and what that qualification would carry. But girls, do you want to just sort of talk about some of the qualifications that we offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a business advisor, you will start with the AAT, which is that's about 2 years. And then you follow on by doing the ACCA. Now, the ACCA is what takes the final 2 years. And the ACCA is actually an equivalent to a master's degree once it's completed. So that's what you do as a business advisor, Steph.
Yeah, so I joined the graduate programme for tax. So because I already had a university degree, I don't have to do the ATT. So I've gone straight onto my courses for CTA. And basically that qualification will be a professional qualification with the Chartered Institute of Tax. So once I've completed all my studies, I'll be a chartered tax advisor. Fully qualified and in tax compliance and tax advice. But yeah, so not doing the accountancy route, doing a straight tax route is what I'm currently on. Millie, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, so I'm on the apprenticeship scheme. So I started my ACA qualification 2 years ago when I joined BDO. So that is like what Jessie said, it's equivalent to the ACCA in terms of accounting as well. They're kind of like similar but different qualifications by different institutes. So within my qualification, I'll probably go into a bit more detail when I talk later, but we do have accountancy and tax modules within my qualification. So I went straight into the ACA even as a school leaver. It's slightly different for the graduates because sometimes you can get exemptions from certain modules and stuff. But yeah, I think for different streams, you do different qualifications that suit that job a little bit more, but you do kind of gain like a wider knowledge of kind of finance in general from all of them that BDO offer.
Thank you. I think that's really useful. If anybody has any particular questions around a specific qualification, then please feel free to pop it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer. Okay, so I think it's over to Stephanie.
Fab. Thanks, Melissa. So yeah, I've just kind of touched on it just there, but I'm a junior tax associate and I am on the graduate programme in the tax stream, studying for the professional qualification. So once I hopefully successfully pass all the modules, I'll be a chartered tax advisor at the end of it. I'm currently based at the BDO Guildford office, and I work in the private client team. So that is helping individuals with their tax affairs, and it's kind of we have two streams within that, I guess, which is compliance and advisory. So advisory is giving people advice, so tax planning, what they could potentially do sort of options wise, for their tax affairs. And then the compliance side is making sure that, if they need to file self-assessment tax returns, they're doing that, and that they're staying legal, and up to date with all their tax affairs. So those are the two kind of main things, main streams, within the private client team. And what's really great is, so I'm working full time. You know, I have about 3 days in the office and then 2 days at home at the moment. So that's kind of what workable is looking like for me. But what's really great is BDO do all the kind of teaching and courses for the CTA internally. So you get blocks of time where you're not in the office and you're not working with the team. You're on virtual courses being taught the stuff that I'll need to know. So that's quite good as well. You get a lot of assistance with that, a lot of support from the team that I work with, but also the tutor team, everybody that's involved in the teaching. So I think that is one of the really great things about BDO, is you can be on the job, you can be working full time, but you're also given that room to do the study while you're on the job. So I really enjoy that aspect. A little bit about how I got here. I actually grew up abroad. So I grew up in the Middle East. It was a little country called Bahrain, which, if you haven't heard of it, is about an hour's flight from Dubai. So I did my GCSEs and A-levels out there. And then I moved back to the UK for university, and went up to Nottingham Trent and did law for my degree. And the reason I want to touch on that is because I think some people sometimes think that they have to have maybe a certain degree. If you're joining the graduate program, people sometimes think, oh, I have to have maybe an accountancy degree or a degree that maybe seemingly directly ties in with what you're going to do at BDO, and that's not the case. So I was kind of able in my partner interview to demonstrate how I felt sort of law and tax operate together and operate in tandem, and how actually my degree was relevant. So if you have done a degree that's perhaps not completely specific to the role that you want to apply for, really don't worry about that. If you can kind of tie it in and talk about how you think that will be relevant, the skills that you've learned, etc. on the degree, how you can tie that in during the application process, that will go down really well. So yeah, you don't have to have a kind of targeted degree if you want to apply for a role at BDO. And then Melissa touched on the application process, but yeah, I did the classic kind of model, filled out the application form online. I then did the assessment centre, which is a day where you'll meet other people who've also applied, and you'll get involved in loads of different kind of activities and tasks and things. And you have to do a few different questions to kind of test your knowledge on kind of numbers and things as well. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed the assessment centre. I thought it was a great insight into BDO. And then on the assessment centre day, as part of it, I also had a partner interview, which was really fantastic. Personally, I think your interview is, your real chance to kind of shine, because you get that one-on-one time with somebody from BDO. So it may not be a partner, but it may be a manager within your team, who would be, in your team that you're applying for. And yeah, it's your chance to have a conversation with them. You've probably heard it all before, but nobody's trying to catch you out or make you feel uncomfortable. It's be yourself, which ties into the values of BDO: be yourself, be genuine. And it's also tying into kind of my top tips bit. It's also your chance to ask questions and be curious about BDO, because you're going to be talking to somebody who, is in the team that, if you were successful, you would be working in. So it's also really a chance to get any information that is still kind of outstanding at that point. You can ask what it's like, how they feel about the role day to day, what they're doing, what excites them most about the role, and also that they're there to find out about you, all the usual: who you are, why you want to be at BDO. And so I really enjoyed my partner interview because I just felt it was really great. I got such a massive insight into the team that I'd be working with. And I'm conscious of time, so I'm probably going to hand over in a second. But I think my ultimate top tip, and I know it's probably something you've all heard before, but it is just be yourself throughout the application process. So I will hand over.
Move on. Yeah, there's a good question for you in the chat.
Oh, fantastic. I'm currently doing law in university. I'd like to ask if you find switching from law to tax to be challenging, and how did you cope with this transition? So no is the answer to that. I haven't found it challenging because you go in at, this early in career level, so nobody in the team is expecting you to know loads about tax and to know exactly what you're doing. Everyone's fully aware that, you're coming in fresh and there to learn, and that you haven't done the studies yet. But also a lot of tax is rules based. And when we say rules, it's actually those rules are law. So tax legislation, tax law, HMRC guidance, all of that kind of thing. So a lot of the disciplines that you learn on a law degree do actually really stand you in good stead for tax. And I also have had the opportunity to start getting involved in some trust work. And again, there's a lot of legislation, a lot of law in trust work as well. So actually getting into the real nitty gritty of the numbers and the tax might be sort of step 3 or 4 down the line. So definitely don't rule it out just because you've done a law degree is my advice there.
Thank you, Stephanie. We'll move on to Millie.
Hi guys, so I'm Millie and I work as an audit trainee in the audit stream at the Gatwick office. I started my programme in November 2020 and I did the full application process, just like Stephanie and Melissa have mentioned before, starting with the application, following on by the online assessment and then to the assessment centre. So as part of my programme, which is 4 years long, because I don't have a university degree, I will still get the full ACA qualification by the ICAW, but it just might take me a bit longer than some of the grads because that scheme's only 3 years. So this kind of like allows me to carry on and answer some of the questions that I saw that were being asked. Is you don't really need to have much knowledge on accounting, audit, tax, or whatever stream you're going into, because you will always be expected to be at an early point in your career. And I think everyone knows that the trainees coming in, you'll have a cohort of people that are going to be at the same level as you. Everybody knows that you're learning. So I think that's good for both the apprenticeship scheme and the grad scheme, because that kind of expectation is there for everyone. So to be a bit more specific, I do work in external audit. So on a daily basis, I audit financial statements of our clients as part of a wider team. So I'll test our clients' information for the accuracy of the stuff that they're reporting. The good thing about audit that I like is that it's very diverse in the sense we kind of get to work with in loads of different areas of accounting. So we touch on a bit of tax, we touch on accounting in general. And it's quite a good way, as someone who doesn't know specifically what stream they might want to be in long term, it's quite good because you kind of gain the knowledge of everything, so you can make a choice later on down the line. So for someone, if you're on this at the moment and you're not really sure what stream is going to be best for you, I do think audit would be a good one, in the sense of you can sort of think about what you want to do later on. And that's definitely the case for all of our streams as well, is once you've gained your qualification, BDO are really supportive in helping you find what you want to do long term. And because we've got all these streams and we've got good staff, they want to reward us by making sure that we've got the support. So yeah, the kind of clients and business types that I work with are charities, retail chains, universities, energy companies. We've got quite a wide range of different clients that we work with on a daily basis. So that's another thing that I really like, is it's really diverse and it's not the same thing every day. You're not working with the same people. In audit, we kind of do like a project-based type approach. So this week I might be working with one team, and next week I might be working with another, which is quite good. And again, just kind of helps with the diversity and making sure that we're not doing the same thing all the time. And the way that Workable kind of fits in with that as well is we don't really have a set 3 days a week that will be in the office or anything like that. So for audit, we go out and visit our clients quite a lot. So we'll go and travel to their offices. I've been up in London quite a bit, all across the UK really, so there is a little bit of travel element in that as well. And I've got some colleagues that do go abroad occasionally as well for some of their clients. So yeah, it's really, in audit, it's really down to what we need for our team for that audit specifically. So that might mean that we go to the office 1 day a week and then we're at home the rest of the week, or we go on site 3 days and then we're in the office for the next 2. It's really varied, which again is something I really like. In terms of how far along in my qualification I am, I've completed 9 out of 15 of my ACA exams. So I'm halfway through my program at the moment, and hopefully in 2 years' time, I will be a chartered accountant with my ACA qualification if everything goes to plan. So just kind of like a bit of background as to how I got to where I am today, as well, as I'm on the school leave program, so it's slightly different to how Stephanie joined BDO. So I sat my A-levels in 2019, and I finished achieving grades A and then 3 Cs in sociology, maths, chemistry and further maths. So I'd always kind of known that I wanted a career in finance, but again, I wasn't sure specifically what type of finance, whether that was accounting or tax. So I think I kind of narrowed it down to accounting, but again, I wasn't 100% sure. I kind of wanted to have a look into banking as well. So that's kind of where my job at the bank came from, when I started working there in July 2019. So I'd kind of applied for a couple of apprenticeships, and I hadn't really spent much time and energy and focusing on the application process as much, as I had a lot on my plate with A-levels going on and stuff. And I just kind of wanted to take a little bit of time to sort of think a bit more about what I wanted to do. And that gave me the time to do that, really. So that kind of came around to March 2020, which was when I did my assessment centre. And I was offered my place on my programme. And then I started in November, which is a bit delayed. Normally everyone starts in September, but as it was COVID, they needed to figure out how things are going to work. Because when I started my apprenticeship, we were completely working from home. So it's a very different to how things are now, and how we're travelling loads again and we're back in the offices. So it was quite challenging having to learn everything at home, but now I've really reaped the benefits and we're finally getting to see people again, which is really nice. In terms of top tips, I think what I would say I wish I did was spending more time on the application process and thinking about what it is that I'm going to bring to the table in the assessment centre. I think you can't really prepare because you never know what task they're going to get you to do on the day. It's very varied. But I think if you think about what you know you can bring to the table and just passion for the industry, no matter what stream that might be in, like I say, you can definitely, you get the support to figure that out along the way when you're working at BDO. So yeah, I think I'm going to hand over to Jessie now to talk a bit about her stream.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Millie. So I am just going to wrap up everything that everyone else has said, but give a bit of a business advisor slant because I am slightly different. So I work in Suffolk, in Ipswich, and I'm a business advisor. Now, the first thing everyone asks me is, oh, that's a really cool title, but what does a business advisor actually do on a day-to-day basis? So let's start there. So as a business advisor, I get involved in so many different areas. So starting with normal compliance work, which is your financial statements, your VAT returns, all stuff like that, all the way through to management accounts, cash flow forecasting, sitting in with clients to look at exit strategies, all kinds of things like that we get involved in. And that's unique because obviously you don't do anything like that at school. So a lot of people say, well, how did you know you wanted to do something like that when you won't have done anything like that before ever? Now, the one question that I keep seeing in the chat is, how do you know you want to get involved in it? And what I would say is do as much research. Now, nobody's expecting you to, complete the qualification or anything crazy like that, but there is loads of great information about each stream on the BDO Early in Careers page. So each stream is detailed. There is information about what the kind of work, what the kind of tasks you'll do on a day-to-day basis, how big the teams are. And reading that, what you'll learn is that each of the streams, although they are all collectively working to provide the best service possible for our clients, they each have individual characteristics. And if you align yourself with one of those and think this is really what I would like to get involved in and go for that, that's probably the best way, in my opinion, to match yourself to a stream. So how did I do that? Well, I left school at 18. Steph's law degree is quite relevant. I had English and history, which definitely didn't feel relevant to anything. But I did my best in thinking, well, what do I love doing? I love talking to people. I love helping people. And actually, when you look at the core of what we do, that's what we do every day. So I put together a CV, which is the online application form, and I went for the video interview. Now, I want to pause here on video interview because not many people will have ever done a video interview. Now, what happens is you are in front of a camera, questions pop up on screen and you answer them. So I don't want people to be put off by the idea of a virtual video interview. It's not anything like where they're like firing questions at you and you don't even have time to answer or anything scary like that. If questions pop up, you record an answer and submit it. So first thing not to worry about is that. I know I've had loads of questions about that in the past. So then I come down to my AAT. The AAT is a level 4 professional diploma. And actually, when I got my AAT, I do quite a lot of awareness for the AAT. And I actually was in, I don't know if you can see this that well, the Metro paper for being someone quite young who did an apprenticeship to achieve the AAT. So the AAT is a great qualification because it starts with going through loads of the foundations of tax, audit and accountancy. And it's brilliant because it gives you a base level of knowledge. You know at that stage what you find really interesting, and then you can tailor what you do after that from what you've learned here. Now, the reason I've got a picture of a lady standing around a table is because my job is all about talking to people. So we help them with their accounts, and it's all about, if they want to understand the numbers, helping them understand the numbers. If they would like future forecasts, helping them to achieve that. So really, you can use all of the skills you've got at the AAT to start getting really involved in the working place, going out to see clients. And then once you've achieved your AAT, which is 2 years into the apprenticeship, you start the ACCA. Now, this is the final qualification you do on the apprenticeship. Again, it takes 2 years. I actually only have one exam left, which I am sitting in 2 months' time, and then I will be fully qualified. So I started in September of 2018, so it has taken me the full 4 years, but I will then be fully qualified. Now, you will continue to do professional, keep topping up your qualification with other continued professional development. There are no further exams or anything like that. You just, once you've achieved that, you become certified chartered or chartered, however, depending on which one you do. So the pictures on the right hand side are me at careers events. If you have any questions, we would now like to open the floor for any questions. So please fire away. Back to Melissa.
So one thing I thought was really useful to share was our Match Me tool on the website, because I think if there's some people that are not sure about which stream they want to apply to. So Match Me is a new tool that we've added to the website this year. You click on the tool and answer a variety of different questions. Depending on how you answer those questions will give you a result on whether you're more likely to be suited to tax, audit or advisory. So it's a really, really nice tool that supports the people that really have no idea. Go onto the Match Me tool and that will guide you to kind of come up with a stream that you might want to apply to. So we've got lots of questions in the chat. So let's just go through. So I'm conscious that we haven't answered a few of them. So I'm going to start from the top. So we've gone through the qualifications. Will there be any insight program for year 3 undergrad students who'll be graduating in June next year? So in answer to the question, no for that one. So our insight programs are for penultimate year students. So if you're graduating, we would expect you to apply to a graduate role or our school leaver program. Does a graduate student have the qualification to apply the graduate program? I'm not sure if I understand that question, Dong. Does the graduate in 2022 January have the qualification to apply? Not clear on that question, Dong. Would you mind just popping some bit more clarity on that? Is your online application different to the Workday application? The Workday application is our people management system, and our application form is built on the Workday platform, so it's the same thing. If you're in a master's program, which doesn't finish till the end of September, does BDO have flexibility in terms of start dates? We don't actually, because of our induction. So we have a group-wide induction, which is really nice because the cohort come together. What we would do is delay your start date potentially to the January intake or to the September intake. You'd miss out on a lot of the bits and pieces that you need when you first join on that induction program. So we tend to stick to that, and that is the first week of September. When does the cycle begin for graduate roles? So that is your September and January intakes. I applied for a January intake and started the application form halfway. After I wrote an email to ask about the deadline passed after I got the answer. My wasn't completed. I'd like to know if I can withdraw the application and start. Once you've done an application, you're essentially allowed to do one application per cycle. So unfortunately, you wouldn't be then allowed to do one until the next cycle, because essentially it's looked at as you've missed the deadline to do the application. You get some time between each stage of the process to do each part of it. So, and you have to make sure that when you kind of start your application that you check the deadlines. And that is actually one of our tips as well, that you check firms' deadlines before you start your application, because if you do miss deadlines, then essentially you will be taken out of the process, unfortunately. We do take overseas students. We are sponsored, we have a license, so yes, we absolutely are. That's no problem. We take students on student tier 2 and we'll convert them to a skilled worker visa. If you have a student visa, then normally we would keep you on that student visa and we would convert you to a skilled worker visa after the 2-year period, which is what your graduate visa would be. Because I saw the question later on down the chat, so I thought I'd answer that in the same one. How long do you have to wait before you hear whether you're invited to an assessment? Within a few days, so I'd expect around about a week. The volume of applications is quite high at the moment, so potentially a slight delay. But please feel free to drop an email to the inbox. I'll pop the email address on the chat if you want to chase up your application and check where we are. Same assessment for everybody, so everybody goes through the same process. Some of the group exercises will be slightly different depending on what stream you're doing, but it's the same process in terms of the assessment centre format and the day. You do need A-levels or an equivalent to apply. So if you don't have A-levels, you need to have an equivalent. Preparation on AC, I'll come back to that if that's okay. How do you know which stream suits you? We talk about Match Me tool, sponsor, interactive assessment. I think we answered some of those. So I'll just go through a little bit about preparation. Now, the assessment centre is very much linked back to our Be Yourself, and planning and preparation is really about your passion for applying to BDO and understanding our values and making sure that where our goals and values are, that they align to your own as well. So it's understanding where your skills and strengths are and knowing your CV, so knowing your experience and knowing what you can bring to the table, and just understanding who BDO are and showing that passion is very, very vital when you're going through an assessment centres with other candidates, because it really does show when you're at an assessment centre that somebody really wants the job and somebody's really passionate. There's no preparation as such because there's no kind of practice environment. But as one of the girls said, there's no trying to catch you out, and there's certainly no trying to trip anybody up. We want everybody to be themselves and to be really comfortable through the process. And we like to say to enjoy it, but
I think something I'd say, like kind of following on from that, Melissa, as well, is research the qualifications as well. So depending on what stream you've applied for, research the qualification that BDO provides as part of that stream, because I think quite a lot of people don't actually realise or understand what their qualification entails and how that links to their role at work when they start. And I think that's one way that you can really show that you understand and that you are really passionate about what you're doing, is if you show that you've got that knowledge and understanding of what you're getting yourself in for before you actually join. Because I think a lot of applicants don't show that, and that's something that people are definitely looking for.
So we've got a question in the chat around about flexibility in transferring from different offices. Yes, it is possible, but what is not possible is joining, for example, in September and then wanting to move to another office kind of pretty quickly after. There definitely is the movement available, and the longer you're in the firm, the more likely that movement is available. It just needs to be realistic that you've joined an office and you're part of that headcount. But if it's a personal reason, there's some valid reasons why you're looking to move, then it's always worth talking to the people manager. But it's yes, it's possible, but not as soon as you've joined.
I also think as well, that's quite specific to stream. So for audit, I think it depends on whereabouts in the country you are. But for me, I'm based at the Gatwick office, but quite a lot I do work from our London Baker Street office because we've got a team there as well. And so if certain colleagues that I'm working with are in London that day, I'll go there. I think as Workable's kind of developed, there are kind of office hubs where you can go and work from different offices, especially in audit, as it's more of a project-based, not structured stream. But like Melissa said, there is that flexibility kind of more permanently in the future.
Yeah, so we call our offices hubs, don't we? So they're called your local hub would be your contracted office. If you graduate in 2021, yes, you can absolutely. It doesn't matter when you graduate, you can apply to a graduate programme. There's no opportunities for somebody studying an MSc with a placement for a placement. Is there opportunities for students studying an MSc with a placement for a year? No. So industrial placement is again available for undergrads, not for students that have graduated, because you would finish your MSc by the time you come to join us on the placements. That wouldn't be possible. Everybody's super quiet and putting their questions in the chat, and anybody can feel free to talk if they want to. Or are they allowed to on this forum? I'm not sure if there's the ability to do that.
I'll answer that question from Fiona, coming from audit. And to be honest, it depends on where and what office you apply to. So for me at Gatwick, we only really have 2 departments. We've got our non-for-profit team, which is like charities and organisations that our non-for-profit, and then we've got our main business assurance team. So that's basically like all other businesses that do that have the primary concern of making profit. In terms of kind of specializing in what specific audits you want to do, that's something that you kind of do later on down the line. So maybe 2 to 3 years into your program, that there's kind of the opportunity for that. I think as kind of a first year and as a new starter, you just kind of get exposed to as many different types of clients as possible. But I think that's the kind of best thing, because you don't know what stuff's going to interest you that early on. And I think a lot of types of clients that I didn't think I'd be that interested in have really surprised me working in audit. So yeah, it's definitely the case later on, but not as soon as you join.
I've had, I can see a question from Christina about the CTA qualification. So if you're a school leaver, you will come into the role and you'll do the ATT first. So as Jessica kind of touched on, it just gives you that good foundation and that basis of the streams, so that you've got a little bit of that kind of base knowledge before going into the CTA. If you have a degree and you come in like I have on the graduate programme, you'll go straight into the CTA qualification. It's very nicely spread out, so it will be over about 3 years, and I do the apprenticeship alongside. Some people do and some people don't, but I am on the apprenticeship scheme as well. There are 7 exams spread over that time period. So the first 3, I would say, are quite small. They're kind of sort of base knowledge papers. So you'll do accountancy, law and ethics as your first 3 kind of very small modules on the CTA. And then you'll go forward, and about a year after that you'll do your awareness paper, which again will touch on various different taxes. And then as you get further along into the exams, you'll start sort of picking elective modules and things if there's certain areas that you feel you're starting to enjoy. So throughout that 3-year period, you're on and off courses. So you're always on the job full time, but you'll have blocks of time. It's usually a week at a time, which you'll be given a timetable that you'll go off and you'll do study for that week, and then you'll be back on the job again. And yeah, I think what's quite nice is, don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of work, but I think it's been spread out in a way that it's taking into account the fact that we are working alongside, and obviously that complements the studies as well. I don't know how Millie and Jessica feel, but you know, I've already been in a position where I've come across something in the teaching that I happened to come across kind of in my role before I got the teaching on it, and it was quite nice because then suddenly things clicked into place, and it made quite a lot of sense. So I think it is well structured in that way. So hopefully that helps.
Absolutely. I was just going to take a question from Angus. During training, how much client interaction do you have? The answer to that question is a lot. So it's supported. So you're not expected to go and sit down with a client on your first day. That is completely not the case. But you have a counselling manager who will mentor you on working with clients, and once you have the confidence, I'm invited to client meetings to sit down with clients, phone calls with clients, emailing clients. You are not sheltered or not allowed to speak to them because you're a trainee. That's not the case at all, but it is really supported by your manager, who will train and help you to feel guided throughout the whole process. So you completely get to interact with clients and work on real client files. You're training all on live client files, and certainly in business advisory there aren't any sort of like test files. You work on real client files to learn, but you are not left on your own with a client. I reassure you that would never happen. So hopefully that helps.
going to answer a question from Vince. After getting the ACA qualification, can I work towards the CTA? And the answer to that is definitely yes. I think I kind of briefly mentioned this earlier, but you, especially after your initial program, there's definitely the opportunity to do secondments to other streams and other areas of the business. I've had a lot of colleagues that have moved to tax and started their CTA after doing the ACA in audit. So I think you can kind of really do that no matter what stream you apply to. So if you're not sure that what you've applied to is what you want to do long term, it will still benefit you and you'll still be able to move around later on.
I've just popped the early career inbox email address in the chat for some more personal questions that have come up on the chat. Mohammed, I can check your application if you want to pop your details into an email for us. Is anybody able to answer Archford's question around the diploma that he's got?
I don't know if Jessie, you'd know a bit more about the ACCA, but for the ACA, you can apply for kind of what's called like prior learning credits. So technically you don't have a full degree, so you would still come in at BDO under the school leaver program, but you might qualify for certain exemptions for certain modules. So it'd be quite a unique situation to you. I don't know if that's the case for the other streams, but that's definitely what I've seen happen in audit.
Yeah, Millie, you're exactly right. If it's the business advisor position you're looking at and the AC to continue on the ACCA, not a problem. So it would be the school leaver. We have seen that happen in our stream, and you would get exemptions. So particular exams you'll be exempt for. You just don't study those ones, and you complete the apprenticeship in the same way. Hopefully that helps.
There's a question around, would the CTA be another 3 years to get qualified?
Again, I think it's kind of a similar thing. If you've done the ACA or you've done like another accounting qualification and then you want to move on to the CTA, I think you can get some sort of exemptions. I'm not sure specifically what those would be for you, but yeah, it's not always exactly another full 3 years.
Yeah, I think Millie's right there. I think you would get exemptions from certain modules and then still have to take certain modules. So it probably wouldn't take you the full 3 years, but yeah, you'd still have to pass certain modules to get the qualification. While I'm on the mic, I think there was a follow-up question from Christina on why I chose the CTA qualification. And really, I think I chose it because, just as we've kind of already spoken about, when I was looking at the streams and the different roles, I'd already had, because I've actually done a master's as well. I actually did private client as an elective module on my law master's, and in that there was some tax, and that basically sparked my whole interest in this. And I went onto the BDO website and had a little look around and realized there were I could apply for a role, and basically I keep kind of coming back to it, but for me it is just that perfect fusion of kind of I still get to do a lot of law. There's still a lot of legal research in my role, but I also get to do some numbers as well, but they're not complicated. I think, again, as soon as people say tax, and probably the other streams as well, I think immediately people think you have to be an absolute maths whiz, and I'm not. But I still bring a lot to the table in the role. The numbers arguably are kind of the easier bit sort of down the line, once you know what rules you're talking about and what tax rules apply to that particular client. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
So there's a question, if I'm studying accounting and finance masters, I'll finish in September 2023. What are your recommendations to me about when to apply for jobs? I would recommend you apply in September for a January role. We always have a few roles that are available in January. So you could apply in September next year to start in January. If you haven't passed the assessments, we don't have a psychometric test. It's an assessment. There is the opportunity to apply for the next cycle, as I mentioned earlier. So you'd have to wait until we launched for the 2024 intake, which would be September. So I think we've answered all the questions now. Somebody is typing, so we just see. Jay has asked, is there a limit on applying for roles? Yes, there is a limit. You can apply for one role per season. So that's why I think the Match Me tool would be really useful for people that are not sure about which stream, because that can support you to make sure that you're applying for the right role. Our roles are actually advertised by region. So if you're really, really flexible about which region, then I think it's about which sub-streams are available within the streams, and the advert will clearly display what sub-streams are. And again, going back to one of the points earlier, do look on the website to look at the microsites and the different streams. There's so much information. While we don't want to just push you onto the website, actually it's a really good source of information, and it helps you identify perhaps the areas that you might be interested in, and that will then determine which role you can apply to. Okay, I think there's no more questions. There is a recording of this, yes, and that will be available on YouTube. I believe the Target Jobs team will be sending it around to all attendees. There is one question about from Harper on the chat. Please, can you introduce a little bit more about auditing and tech assurance track? Is it more tech or auditing?
I'm not 100% sure about that, or what role you're referring to there. Like, my role specifically is within external audit, which means we audit our clients' financial statements. So that might be tech companies or other companies, depending on what your area and what your depending on the clients that your area has. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure. If it doesn't, let me know.
Super. Well, thank you so much. We've really enjoyed the time and hope you found it useful. Please email any questions to the Early Careers inbox if you felt you need some more information. But I think we'll leave it there. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.